The Bible looks like many stories, yet one structure quietly holds them together. That structure is covenant, binding promises shaping humanity's relationship with God. These covenants do not erase earlier promises, they develop the same story. Different traditions count them differently. So this video uses one common framework. We will follow 7 major covenants from creation toward the new covenant. Each one answers a problem created or exposed in the previous stage. Each one adds promises, responsibilities, signs, and a clearer hope within Scripture. And together they explain why Scripture keeps moving toward one final solution. Before kings, temples, prophets, or Israel, covenant themes already frame creation. The first pages establish blessing, obedience, life, and the danger of rebellion. Then sin fractures the relationship humans were created to enjoy with God. From that fracture, the covenant story begins moving through judgment and mercy. Watch carefully because the later covenants repeatedly echo these earliest themes. The Bible structure is not random repetition, it is progressive revelation. And the final covenant only makes sense after seeing everything that came before. In Eden, humanity receives life, vocation, blessing, boundaries, and sacred responsibility. Adam represents humanity within a world ordered by God's generous command. He is told to cultivate, guard, multiply, and live beneath divine authority. The forbidden tree places obedience at the center of covenant relationship. Life is enjoyed through trust, but rebellion introduces death and exile. Genesis 3 shows Adam and Eve crossing the boundary God established. The serpent promises autonomy, but the result is shame, fear, and separation. Judgment follows, yet judgment is not the final word spoken in Eden. Genesis 3:15 introduces conflict between the serpent and the woman's offspring. Christians have long seen this as an early trajectory toward redemption. The text itself promises eventual conflict and victory, though details unfold later. Humanity leaves Eden, carrying both the consequences and a mysterious hope. The Adamic stage establishes the problem every later covenant must address. Humans need more than instruction. They need restoration from sin and death. And the next covenant begins after violence fills the world within Scripture. By Noah's generation, human violence has spread across the earth within Scripture. The flood becomes judgment, but God preserves Noah, his family, and creatures. Afterward, God establishes a covenant involving Noah and every living creature. This covenant is striking because its scope is universal, not merely national. God promises never again to destroy all flesh through such a flood. The rainbow becomes the visible sign attached to that promise within Scripture. Creation remains broken, but God preserves the world for redemption to continue. Human sin has not disappeared after the flood. Genesis states that plainly. So the Noahic covenant does not solve the human heart within Scripture. It stabilizes history, allowing God's redemptive promises to unfold through generations. Seasons, life, family, and human society continue beneath divine patience within Scripture. This creates the stage on which a more focused promise can appear. Instead of beginning again with everyone, God now calls one particular man. Through that man, blessing will eventually reach all families of earth. That man is Abraham, and his covenant narrows the story strategically. God calls Abram from his country with promises larger than one lifetime. He promises land, descendants, a great name, and worldwide blessing within Scripture. Genesis 12 introduces these promises before the covenant is formally ratified. Later, Genesis 15 presents a solemn covenant ceremony involving divided animals. Remarkably, the divine presence passes between the pieces while Abram watches. The scene emphasizes God's commitment to fulfill what he has promised. Genesis 17 adds circumcision as the covenant sign for Abraham's household. Abraham is renamed, and Sarah is included within the promised future. The promised son will come through Sarah despite their advanced age. This covenant creates Israel's ancestral identity, but its purpose reaches beyond Israel. In Abraham, all families of the earth are connected to promised blessing. Paul later returns to Abraham when explaining justification and faith within Scripture. So, Abraham becomes both historical patriarch and theological reference point within Scripture. Yet, descendants need more than ancestry. They need formation as a people. That formation arrives through Moses at Sinai within Scripture in the biblical story. Israel leaves Egypt through divine deliverance before receiving the Sinai covenant. That order matters. Rescue comes before the nation receives detailed covenant law. At Sinai, God calls Israel a treasured possession and priestly kingdom. The covenant gives commandments shaping worship, justice, community, and holiness within Scripture. Exodus 24 records covenant ratification with sacrifice and blood within Scripture. The people pledge obedience, and Moses sprinkles covenant blood upon them. The tabernacle then places divine presence at Israel's covenant center within Scripture. Priests, sacrifices, festivals, purity laws, and moral commands structure national life. But the law also reveals how deeply sin disrupts covenant faithfulness. Israel repeatedly breaks the very commands it has promised to obey. The covenant therefore exposes both God's holiness and human instability within Scripture. Blessings and curses later describe covenant consequences with sobering clarity within Scripture. Deuteronomy anticipates exile if Israel persistently abandons covenant loyalty within Scripture. Yet Moses also speaks of future heart transformation beyond mere external command. That future hope prepares the way for later covenant promises within Scripture. Priestly themes already appear at Sinai, but one covenant becomes especially explicit. In Numbers 25, Phinehas acts during a severe crisis of covenant unfaithfulness. God responds by granting him a covenant of peace within Scripture. The text also describes a covenant of perpetual priesthood for his descendants. This covenant highlights mediation, holiness, worship, and service before God within Scripture. Israel's priests stand within a system requiring sacrifice and purification within Scripture. They remind the nation that approaching holiness is not casual within Scripture. Yet every repeated sacrifice also reveals that the problem remains unresolved. Priests themselves are mortal, imperfect, and dependent upon atonement within Scripture. Later, Scripture develops the hope of a priesthood capable of deeper mediation. Psalm 110 unexpectedly joins kingship with priesthood after Melchizedek's order within Scripture. Hebrews later applies that line of thought directly to Jesus within Scripture. So, priestly covenant themes point beyond repeated earthly ministry within Scripture. They prepare readers for a mediator whose priesthood does not end, and that priestly hope soon intersects with covenant promises given to David. Israel eventually asks for a king, and David becomes the central royal figure. In 2 Samuel 7, David desires to build God a house. God reverses the proposal by promising to build David a house. Here, house means dynasty, a royal line extending beyond David himself. God promises that David's throne and kingdom will be established enduringly. Solomon fulfills part of this promise by building the temple within Scripture. Yet, Solomon's failures show that the promise reaches beyond one earthly king. Later, Davidic kings repeatedly fail through idolatry, injustice, and covenant disobedience. Eventually, Jerusalem falls and the monarchy appears shattered by exile within Scripture. That collapse makes the Davidic promise seem almost impossible to fulfill. The prophets therefore speak increasingly about a future righteous Davidic ruler. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and other texts sustain this royal expectation within Scripture. By the New Testament, Jesus is introduced explicitly as David's descendant. His kingship becomes central to understanding covenant fulfillment and messianic hope. But kingship alone cannot solve the deeper problem of the human heart. Jeremiah speaks into national failure and announces something genuinely new within Scripture. God promises a new covenant, unlike the covenant broken after Egypt. The law will be written within, not merely placed before the people. God promises intimate knowledge of Himself and decisive forgiveness of sin. Ezekiel describes related promises using cleansing, a new heart and spirit. These prophetic hopes address the failure exposed throughout Israel's covenant history. The problem was never simply insufficient information about God's commands within Scripture. The deeper problem was the human heart resisting faithful obedience within Scripture. At the Last Supper, Jesus speaks directly about the new covenant. He connects the covenant with His blood given for others within Scripture. His death therefore becomes covenant sacrifice, forgiveness, and redemptive turning point. The New Testament presents Jesus as king, priest, sacrifice, and mediator. In Him, several covenant trajectories converge rather than merely standing beside each other. The new covenant does not make the earlier story meaningless within Scripture. It reveals where that entire story had been heading within Scripture. Now place all 7 covenants beside one another and watch the pattern. Adam introduces humanity's vocation, failure, exile, and need for restored life. Noah preserves creation so redemption can continue within a stable world. Abraham receives promises of land, descendants, and blessing for all nations. Moses forms Abraham's descendants into a covenant nation under revealed law. The priestly covenant emphasizes holiness, mediation, sacrifice, and access to God. David receives the promise of an enduring royal house and kingdom. The new covenant promises forgiveness, inner transformation, spirit, and restored relationship. These are not 7 unrelated religious contracts scattered across Scripture within Scripture. They form a developing architecture of promise, failure, preservation, and fulfillment. Each covenant expands something earlier while exposing what still remains unresolved. Humanity needs life. Creation needs preservation. Nations need blessing. Sinners need forgiveness. God's people need holiness, mediation, righteous kingship, and transformed hearts within Scripture. The covenant story keeps gathering those needs into a single expectation. And the New Testament claims Jesus stands at the center of that convergence. Here is the hidden structure many readers miss when reading isolated stories. Every major covenant gives real grace while revealing a deeper, unresolved problem. Eden gives life, but humanity rebels against the giver of life. Noah preserves the world, but human sin continues after the flood. Abraham receives promise, yet his family still needs rescue and transformation. Moses gives Israel law, but the law cannot create faithful hearts. Priests mediate worship, but repeated sacrifices never permanently end human guilt. David receives kingship, but mortal kings repeatedly fail their covenant responsibilities. Prophets therefore announce forgiveness, spirit, renewed hearts, and righteous leadership together. The Bible's movement is not simply from bad rules toward easier rules. It moves from external structures toward the restoration those structures anticipated. The covenants progressively reveal what humanity actually needs from God within Scripture, not merely information, territory, institutions, or political stability within Scripture in the biblical. Humanity needs a reconciled relationship, transformed hearts, lasting mediation, and restored creation. That is why covenant theology can illuminate the Bible's entire storyline. The New Testament presents Jesus using language drawn from several covenant streams. He is called Son of David, carrying the royal covenant promise. He is connected to Abraham and the promised blessing reaching nations. Hebrews presents him as the superior priest and new covenant mediator. His blood is described in covenant language associated with forgiveness and sacrifice. Paul connects Christ with Abraham's promise and the inclusion of Gentiles. The Gospels portray him announcing God's kingdom with Davidic implications within Scripture. His resurrection answers the death introduced into the human story from Eden. His spirit forms a people whose obedience comes from renewed hearts. This does not mean every covenant detail is interpreted identically by Christians. Traditions differ about Israel, church, land, law, and future fulfillment within Scripture. But they broadly agree that Jesus is central to new covenant fulfillment. He gathers royal, priestly, sacrificial, and redemptive themes around himself within Scripture. That convergence explains why isolated passages become clearer when read covenantally. The story is moving somewhere, and the covenants reveal its direction. The seven covenant framework is a map, not a replacement for Scripture. It helps trace promises that unfold across centuries without flattening every difference. Adam shows the lost vocation. Noah shows preservation after judgment within Scripture. Abraham shows promised blessing. Moses shows covenant nation and revealed holiness. Priestly covenant themes show mediation. David shows the promised righteous king. The new covenant brings forgiveness, transformed hearts, spirit, and lasting mediation. Together, they reveal a God who continues pursuing his redemptive purpose. Human failure changes circumstances, but it does not cancel divine faithfulness. Again and again, judgment is followed by promise, preservation, and deeper hope. And in the New Testament, those hopes increasingly converge upon Jesus Christ. So the Bible's unity is not hidden because Scripture lacks structure. It is hidden because we often read individual stories without their covenant connections. Once those connections appear, the whole narrative becomes larger and more coherent. Which covenant changed your understanding most? Share it in the comments. Subscribe for more biblical connections that reveal Scripture's larger story within Scripture.